And now, another episode of MMA Gossip with your boys.
All right, we're live. What's going on, guys? It's MMA Gossip, episode number 43. We got a special guest today who will be defending her strawweight belt at CFFC 91. It's Elise, who now we know is known as Rufus Reed. She'll be fighting December 18th in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. So, Elise, thank you very much again for doing this. We got hooked up by your manager, our mutual friend, Kale Brusso. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. We did training this morning, about an hour and a half, and then I got a lift later in the evening, and then we're calling it a day for today. But no, I'm content. I'm happy where we are right now.
There you go. 2 days. What is it? The fight's 9 days away?
What's today? Yeah.
9 days out.
Yeah.
How you feeling? How's everything going? How's camp been? Because
it's good. I mean, we're fortunate, obviously, with COVID and everything. We're fortunate that I have a school. My coach, Mr. K, has a school, John Canabay, and there's a stipulation where professional athletes can still train and do what they need to. So, we've been very fortunate that we can still train and do what needs to be done in order to get ready. Yeah,
that's awesome. Because I know you own Kickside. It's Kickside Martial Arts?
Yeah. So John Canabay, my coach, owned both locations, Hillsborough, Montgomery, and then in 2018, I purchased the one in Hillsborough. So he has one in Montgomery, and I have one in Hillsborough, and they're Kickside. They're just more or less affiliated schools. I couldn't think of a good name to call my school, so I just took his.
That's right, because all websites list you as Princeton, New Jersey.
Yes, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
We're all Jersey guys. All of us are from New Jersey as well. So big shout out. We'll be rooting for you for sure.
Yeah, good.
Well, yeah, I saw that in college you were a multi-sport athlete. So Rufus, you just explained your nickname to us before you got on. So if you could give that to the fans again, that we'd appreciate that. And then
So my journey to MMA is a little unique in the sense that I did it obviously when I was a kid. That's why I run a school and own a school now. But in college, I also did swimming in high school. So in college, they asked me to swim, and because of VMI and how difficult it is freshman year, some of the water polo people quit like the first week. And so the water polo coach comes up to us and goes, "Hey, you know how to swim, right?" I said, "Yep." So then I was on the water polo team, and those people, everybody should watch water polo, not, dissing MMA. Obviously MMA is just as cool, but they are huge people. They have to tread water while they swim. They can only catch and throw with one hand. So I was the smallest one on the team. And as a freshman, we were figuring out our nicknames, more or less being thrown nicknames. And mine was Pipsqueak, which I argued that's, I didn't want to be known as the smallest person. So instead, because our hair was cut short for military school, they said I looked like the naked mole rat. So that's where Rufus came from. The naked mole rat from Impossible. It really helped achieve me martial arts as well. I think that was another connection. But yeah, so Raising the Rufus was my Instagram, in college, and I haven't necessarily changed it. Little shout out to my teammates.
That's funny because our buddy Mike here, the one with the colorful hat, we all had nicknames in college, and when thinking of a nickname for him, we had nothing going. Couldn't think one. So he ended up with Zero, like Zero from Holes.
Oh no!
Yeah. I would look like a I guess for lack of a better term, a convict, because I had my hair was all messed up. I had a big beard. I always wore a beanie and a dark sweatshirt. I literally looked like I was going to rob everybody all the time. So they called me Zero, but I get how nicknames come to be. So got to embrace.
Yeah, it's crazy that it just sticks with you. It's not like you get a choice, right? It's like I saw it the moment they said Pipsqueak. I was like, no, I got to jump on that real quick. And then I saw the fire. Kim Possible, who's that naked mole rat? And I was like, oh, man, I'm stuck. Yeah, it's stuck.
That's also Tapology and Sherdog got to get on it then, because they're slacking.
Yeah. Well, I'll work on that. I'll put it out there.
Was that always your
question?
Because I think you said it's from college. Your nickname is from college.
College. Yeah.
In Bellator and in your last fight in CFFC, they didn't announce you as Rufus, right?
No. I could definitely put it in there. In terms of nicknames for like fighting, the first girl that I fought was Rebecca Brigman, and her nickname was Rampage Carnage something or other. And when she interviewed, she had weird MMA is already tough enough. unless I'm given a nickname and they say like, you know what, that's what makes sense. I don't really feel like I should give myself one because, you know, then it could backfire real quick. Rufus, definitely I would be safe with, but yeah, no, I'll let the nicknames flow. I got to get myself a little bit more fights, and then I'm sure I'll get some more feedback, so to speak, in terms of what to call myself.
For sure. Mike, go ahead. I interrupted you.
No, it's okay. So I noticed you said you were a big swimmer, and I noticed that when I go for a run, I have no problem with my cardio. But if I do 2 laps in the Olympic swimming pool, I'm gassed. Do you attribute that to because the first thing I noticed when I watched both of your fights, a Bellator fight and CFFC, I noticed your cardio was on point, and now I know that you're a swimmer. Do you think that attributed to how awesome your cardio is?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely. So I did running in middle school. I tried in high school, but my high school email address was Black Belts Kick Ass, and so I think they thought it was a joke. So they never actually asked me to join the team. But it's crazy that you say that because swimmers and runners often don't have the same cardio. Like if you're a good runner, you're normally a really bad swimmer, and if you're a good swimmer, you hate running. And not to nerd out a little bit, but there's science that proves that swimmers don't have as good cardio because gravity, and it affects your lungs and your blood flow. But I always try to do both. So I did swimming, didn't do really well in high school, but enough. And then even when I was in college doing swimming, I was still running on the side. So I definitely take that as a pride point that I am good in both realms. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely played a role in both your fights. Your first fight, when you fought that girl Brigman, I guess the fangs did not help her because you put that pace on her, she could not hang.
No. In all honesty, I was so a lot of people in terms of I'm a striker. Obviously, if anybody watches any of the fights, they're gonna know that. And so we thought she was gonna tie up because she only had so many fights for Rebecca, and so we were working on that like stick and move, and I just got tired of pushing against the cage and not doing anything. So that's why I pushed the pace like the last 30 seconds. Is like screw this. It's like this is over because I got tired of chasing her away, having her chase away. So no, I love cardio and I love pushing the pace and with any fight it's a performance, and so that's something that I can do. And honestly, when people get tired. It's like a pride point for me to like pull them in, like, yeah, let's go, let's see who can last longer, because my bet is I'll probably do a little bit better than you. So yeah, no, I love it.
Definitely. I was talking to Kale on the phone actually, and he was saying he was basically hyping you up and saying the same things about you. I was like, well, she's clearly in the right sport then.
Yeah, no, I so MMA has definitely been progression. I started as a striker, a kickboxer. I did one fight, did really well. And then, my coach and I were like, okay, well, let's try MMA. Let's see how it works. First fight as an amateur, 15 seconds. So I was like, okay, well, we got to do that again. I barely remembered what happened. And then it just kind of went from there. And even with my size, I was still able to get finishes and be able to put that pace on people. And so I think the Taekwondo background and being able to strike and know how to add power, plus all the cardio makes me dangerous for most, I'll say. So, yeah.
Speaking of size, how's the weight cut getting to the championship weight going to be? I assume it's going to be relatively easy.
Yeah. There's no problem there. I don't mind 115. Normally I'm a lighter 115 just because I fought at 105 so many times as an amateur, and obviously for my first pro fight. So no, I'm enjoying. I have good solid meals. I'm right, where I need to be. I'm not killing it. So no, it's still not going to be fun, right? Weight cuts are never fun, but it's going to be a lot more fun than I'd say getting to 105. So
that's all. One thing I wanted to ask you was, how about the nerves? Coming from VMI and military and stuff, is it easy for you? You still get those butterflies? Is it a nerve thing, or is it an anxious, like I can't wait type of nerves?
It's weird. It's a weird thing. I mean, definitely there's you rely on the training and all you've done in training and all the previous experiences to be able to kind of combat that. But in any fight, anything can happen. And so I think, that is something that's always going to be there. But as soon as the cage closes, it pretty much is like there's none whatsoever. I'd say beforehand and like hitting the mitts and kind of reassessing, reaffirming what's happening, and that's all part of it. And then I wouldn't say I'm necessarily nervous. Well, not anxious, I'd say. I'm probably excited, some butterflies for sure. But once the cage closes and the bell rings, I mean, the only thing that you need to worry about right now is not getting hit in the face and finishing the fight, right? So it all tends to go away by then.
I hear you. And one other thing, so going back to, it's VMI, right? Virginia Military Institute?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
So you're still in the reserves, correct?
Yes. Yeah, I'm actually a company commander, HHD commander.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How does that work? How does that work now? Like,
well, it keeps me very, very busy. So I commissioned in the reserves after I graduated in 2015. I've been mobilized once, and so I just got promoted to captain. I'm an HHD commander, which means thank you. Yeah, no, it's all good. Yeah, but it just means that the minimum is 1 week in a month and 2 weeks in the summer. With a position, it doesn't necessarily mean you're doing 1 week in a month. It's pretty much 24/7. You're answering emails and doing whatever you need to. But no, it keeps me busy. So between training and running the school, I'm checking in on my emails and making sure that I'm also running a company over HHD in Trenton. So.
And then you got to answer text messages from Kale annoying you too on top of it.
Well, you know what? He's helped me out. He's got my back. He's got the medicals and everything. He's on it. Yeah.
I was talking to him on the phone the other night on my way to jiu-jitsu, and he really is. He's excited about it. And, you know, I'm not just saying this because, you know, I have to say this, but he really is. Like, Kale is one person that I would always want in my corner and has always been in my corner. So he's
absolutely. No, we're really excited. You know, Mr. K and I have known each other for like 20 years at this point. I started with him as a kid, and so adding somebody to the journey, right, to this whole thing has been something that both of us have discussed and kind of went through. And after this last fight, you know, it was kind of a given, like, okay, well, we need to bring somebody in, and we were very fortunate to wait it out a little bit and not necessarily get the first fish that came and be able to find Kale. So no, we're very happy.
That's awesome. Yeah, he'll definitely have your back. Like, what you see is what you get with Kale. He's a genuine guy for sure. But yeah. So where are you looking to go from here? What's next? Like, I mean, obviously take it one step at a time, right? Can't look too far ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this last fight that happened, it started with COVID, so we didn't necessarily have a lot of options. We knew that she was coming down 2 weight classes. I was fighting pretty much up a weight class. She was 5'7", I'm 5'2". So we already knew that it was going to be a big risk. And then they started to put a title fight and whatever. It's like, okay, so now it's like go big, go home type mentality, right? You might as well it's a win-win for me. So at this point, it's definitely one fight at a time. The intent is to continue and hold the belt and be able to put some shows on. But no, I had my birthday this last weekend, and I had a small dinner with my family, and there was nothing else. I was like, December 19th, we can do whatever you want, but until then, it's one mind, one focus right here. And so, so the intent is to reign, put on some good shows, hopefully some finishes, and you know, see where this thing takes me. Awesome.
Well, again, Elise, thank you so much. I don't know if you guys have anything else for you, but I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time. I'm sure you have some emails to get to. And we appreciate your time very much so. We wish you the best of luck, and we will definitely be watching. Thank you for your service.
No, my pleasure. And again, I'm only as good as my last fight, so you guys got to be ready for this next one because it's only going to get better.
Absolutely. We'll have you back on at some point. I hope so.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do for this country as well.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Of course.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
See ya.
Bye.
All right, there you have it. Elise Reed about to go.
Yo, honestly, you guys were flowing. I didn't want to interrupt you with and get it off track because every time I was gonna ask something, you guys fuck it. I didn't want to backtrack to her school or something. You were flowing, so I just
well, let's keep the ball rolling, boys.
We're still going. We're still live here.
Elise Reed, she was awesome. That was awesome. Our buddy Kale now is her manager. He hooked us up. He was the middleman and all that, so we want to give him a big shout out, obviously. and just keep the ball rolling. Episode 43, MMA Gossip. I didn't ask Elise to shout out her socials. That's one thing I meant to do. So check her out. I'm going to look her up right now on Instagram because I know it's Rufus.
We can shout it out like in our post.
In our post, we'll definitely shout her out.
Sure,
But anyways, boys, we got UFC pay-per-view this weekend. We got Bellator tomorrow. A lot to talk about. Mike, take us away, man.
Well, yeah, we got Bellator tomorrow with some really juicy, interesting matchups. Chris, you want to just take that?
Yeah, I absolutely will. It's Raising the Rufus. She did mention it, so I'm glad that she did. Raising the Rufus, Elise Reed, she's 2-0, and she's got a big fight this weekend defending her belt. At 2-0, she came in her last fight as a big underdog and put a hurting on her opponent, and now is the champ, so she'll be defending her belt. But anyway, moving forward, we got Bellator 254 tomorrow. Lima McFarlane will be defending her belt against Juliana Velasquez, and Lima McFarlane is the underdog. Kind of crazy. She opened as a minus 200 favorite, and the line swung, and she's the underdog. You know me, Christy Bellator. I definitely am surprised. McFarlane is 11-0, and Velasquez is coming back at 10-0. And honestly, guys, I don't want to say I'm bad with analogies, so I don't want to say cookie cutter, but they're like very similar in fighting. They're both grapplers that have developed a good striking game. Velasquez is a southpaw. She's got a good kickboxing and Muay Thai background, so maybe that's what they're basing it off of. If their grappling is so even, maybe they're expecting Velasquez to have an advantage on the feet. Is what that's what the sharps see that I don't see. I'll be rooting my ass off for McFarlane. I'm a huge fan of her. So, yeah, it's going down. Mohegan Sun, Bellator's favorite spot, Uncasville, Connecticut. Prelim start at 7:30, excuse me. Main card going down at 10 p.m., so give it a look. The co-main event is Magomedov. But I'm going to pull this up because online there is 5 Magomedovs listed, so I thought that was pretty funny. I don't still have it up on Tapology.
Hell of a name, I'll say that much.
Yeah, but he'll be taking on Mateus Matos. This is basically an ACB, which is now ACA, which is the Russian promotion. This is basically the title fight there from 2017, 2018. It's hilarious. Like these guys, this is a legit scrap. The only thing, it's a little bit late in both of these guys' careers. 16-1 and 12-1-1 records are nothing to be ashamed of. With both of them have lost actually to Petr Yan, the UFC champion, and Magomedov actually beat Petr Yan, so that's his sole loss. I was watching an interview he did earlier this week with MMA Junkie. Shout out to MMA Junkie. And John Morgan actually did an interview with Elise Reed today, so you guys should check that out as well. But anyway, this is going to be a scrap, man. This is really going to be a scrap. ACB just turns out talent. Well, I keep saying ACB because that's what it's been forever. It's now ACA. They got guys like Tumanov, Jan, Rodolfo Vieira, Vinny Magalhaes, Marcin Held. I'm just off the top of my head, a bunch of talent. So that's the names of these guys that these guys are competing with, and it's going down. It's going to be the bantamweight co-main event here for Bellator, and this is a low-key banger. Like, people give Bellator shit for putting on, like, not the best fights or one-sided fights. This fight, the line says it's going to be one-sided with Magomedov coming in at a minus 300 favorite, but this is a banger, and Matos is clearly high level, so I'm excited for that one. Next up, unfortunately, is not happening. Mike delivered Chrissy Bellator the news on this one. I did not see this until Mike had mentioned it to me, but Goiti Yamaguchi was supposed to take on Nate Andrews. I think they were actually calling this a feature fight. So it was like not the co-main. It was like third on the card, but they still wanted to give it some shine. And it's not fucking happening. So I guess I don't have to really talk about it. Goiti Yamaguchi coming in at, I think, 7 pounds over the weight limit. So
Attaboy.
Tisk. Yeah.
Gave the weight cut the old college try and said, fuck it.
He pulled the Charles Oliveira, some would say. We'll see. You guys saw what Tony said, that he wouldn't accept the fight. We'll get into that.
Hey, man, I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either, man. That is, especially like this is a clear number one contender fight. Like, I wouldn't give up my – Tony's already giving Charles a spot. It's a number one contender fight. Like, don't get me wrong. Charles is right up there, and he's been on a streak lately, so he definitely deserves it. But, a lot of guys try to hold their spot. Tony is not one of those guys. But I'll let you guys get into that. Let's get back to Bellator. Linton Vassell, who, again, I mean this in a totally beneficial way. Looks
That's
like
racist.
Is a silverback gorilla. He is fucking huge. Mike actually sent me a picture of him earlier today because could you believe what he looks like at weigh-ins? He's a 37-year-old man looks like that? You know what I mean? He's
on all the steroids.
Yeah, he has to. He's a freak of nature. I follow him on Instagram. He actually follows me on Instagram, unfollowed me, then refollowed me. So maybe we'll get him on the show one day. Who knows? But anyway, Linton Vassell, he's a freak. He trains at Henry Hoof's gym down there at Sanford 365, and he's a beast. Like every day on Instagram, his story will be him doing pull-ups with like dumbbells, like 100-pound dumbbells, and he's holding them with his feet doing pull-ups. And like he's doing pull-ups. I see some of these guys like doing like little half-ups. He's doing dead hang pull-ups with 100-pound dumbbells in his feet. He's a freak of nature, big power, taking on Ronnie Marks, and who's an ex-UFC vet. Linton Vassell is, like I said, I've been hyping him up. He's a freak. He's a big favorite in this fight, over 300, I believe. But and this is a spot where I think he's definitely going to win. He usually, I don't want to say folds, but never rises to the occasion when he fights elite level competition. He's lost to guys like King Mo, Bader beat him, Phil Davis beat him. But again, these are super high level guys that he's losing to. He actually did beat Liam McGeary, who was Bellator's longtime light heavyweight champion, and that kind of put him on the map, really. And Ronnie Marks had not a nice, but a run in the UFC and earlier, like maybe 2013, 2014, and got beat pretty badly. But again, he was fighting guys like Yoel Romero. So what the fuck do you expect is going to happen? But yeah, he's a big favorite in this one, Linton Vassell, and I think that he's going to do well. This fight is at heavyweight, I should mention. So Mike, that picture of him with the abs like that is a heavyweight. I would not want to fight a heavyweight like that. And he's got pretty good cardio as well. So hopefully, I don't see how it couldn't translate well to above the 205-pound weight limit. Then we move on to the prelims. Let me go. I want to make sure these are in order. I think they actually did switch up the order on these. I think they switched up the order on me on these. But anyway, we'll just get right into it. So I'll go in the order that they are. I think the bottom prelim is supposed to be Cody Law taking on Kenny Champion. Kenny Law has got a nice little wrestling background. He's only 1-0 in MMA, but nice little wrestling background. He's another massive favorite. This is one guy that they've been really trying to push. He'll be taking on Kenny Champion, who's 2-0. So Cody Law, pretty green in MMA still, featherweight coming in. And Bellator, they're pretty high on him. They signed him early in his career. He's still super young. And the college he went to is escaping me. It was a small college. I think it was D3, but he like really, really excelled. And now his striking looks on point. So
I think I was looking at him before. Didn't he? Hold on. I just want to double check this before I say something. University of Pittsburgh at Johnstown.
Yeah. Next up, Hobson.
1 year Mike was making noise. Mike, do you hear that too?
Yeah, I think it's Chris. Something's going on with Chris's mic. It's like it sounds like you're shuffling books around or something.
Oh, I just moved my laptop because my actual boss is IMing me. So I just moved that. Sorry about that. Is it better now?
Yeah, you're good.
I had my keyboard right there. Sorry about that. Next up, Hobson Gracie Jr. taking on Billy Goff. I mean, Hobson Gracie here is minus 500, so Matt's probably going to lay the wood on it just because his last name is Gracie.
I did that very recently and was not happy, so I don't think I'm going to do it again.
For God's sakes, like his Henzo Gracie's his fucking brother. His grandpa is Carlos Gracie, one of the founders of jiu-jitsu. So if your grandpa is the founder of jiu-jitsu, you better be pretty fucking good at jiu-jitsu. He'll be taking on Billy Goff, who's 22, I believe, and is 2-2 in MMA. So I'm sorry, Billy. I don't know you very much, but I feel like Bellator is giving Hobson a toss up here, and you're the sacrificial lamb. Best of luck to you. You're 22, and maybe you could beat a guy like Hobson Gracie, and that could springboard your career. That could definitely happen. So good luck to you, my friend. Next up is Matt's favorite fighter, Romero Cotton, taking on Justin Sumter. Cotton's 4-0. Sumter's coming back at 7-3. He does have a big height and reach advantage. But there again, Cotton, I think, is either 3-0 or maybe I think his full 4 fights are in Bellator, 4-0 in Bellator. And he'll be taking on Justin Sumter, who has 2 losses on the Contender Series. So here's my thought process. If Cotton's coming in, and I mentioned this to you guys earlier, this fight is rebooked. The first time, Cotton came in at minus 600. Fight was scrapped, COVID reasons, obviously. Rebooked, he opened at minus 155. I don't know shit about betting. I say it all the time, but that just seems insane to me. That seems crazy to me. So
yeah, I pay attention to like line movement and shit like that. and I couldn't even guess as to why that would happen. That doesn't make any sense.
And yet Matt still put $500 on Cotton.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that, though.
Literally laid the wood on him twice over. But yeah, so the line has ballooned up, and I think now in some places he's already back to minus 280. So maybe I found the line of the century for you, Matt, and I want a percentage of those fucking winnings. If you lose, you don't know me, dude. But anyway, Justin Sumter. So here's my thought process: is Romero Cotton that fucking good? Where Justin Sumter's fighting guys like Ian Heinisch, and who else did he lose to on Contender Series?
Mackie
Patolo.
Right. Yeah, Mike's favorite fighter, Matt Patolo, and he was a small underdog in both of those fights. Granted, the underdog, smaller underdog. If you're coming as a minus 600 favorite over someone that just fought on Contender Series twice, are you UFC caliber? We'll see. Matt's bankroll is definitely going to see.
Yeah.
Next up. This fight, they're really trying to push heavily, I believe, in my opinion. It's Grant Neal taking on Maurice Jackson. This is hilarious, Matt. Strap in. Grant Neal is 4-0, 3-0 in Bellator. Was supposed to take on Tyrell Fortune, so there you go. You know, that's a big – Tyrell Fortune is one of Bellator's big prospects. Grant Neal coming in at 4-0 is supposed to be a prospect himself. Maurice Jackson, on the other hand, Bellator has him listed at 7-2, but I think that's taking in any type of martial arts bouts. He's listed at 3-2, and I think he has 3 no contests. So his record is 3-2-3. His last fight, he lost a split decision in bare knuckle boxing, and
Perfect.
he's been a professional. Maurice Jackson has been a professional fighter since 2005 and has 8 pro fights. A little weird, right?
Is Neal related to Jeff Neal?
Not that I know of, but they don't look the same. If he is, that's a surprise to me. But yeah, Grant Neal in this position should and is an absolute massive favorite, so they're really rooting for him. Welterweight prelim, boys. We got a little showdown right here. Excuse me, I'm moving my laptop one more time. That was the paper, and here's my laptop. We have Shamil Nikayev taking on Nemron Lakinov. Sorry for the mispronunciations. We got a banger here in Bellator, boys. I've seen a lot of movement. Guys like Kaposa, who are like smaller promotion hype boys, basically. Shout out to them. Shout out to Kaposa. He knows what the fuck he's talking about. Probably the best MMA follow on Twitter. These guys are coming in. Nikayev is 9-0, taking on Lakinov, who's 9-2. We got a banger here, boys. This is another one of those like ACA type fights where these guys are just going to come in, throw down. All of Nikayev fights, not all 9 of them were in ACB, again, ACA. So he's clearly made a big footprint there. So this is one fight I was really kind of surprised to see on the prelims, especially in Bellator. They've been doing some weird stuff lately, like shoving fights like this on the prelims, where like this is clearly like this fight could be on a UFC main, like a low, like a fight night, like that could be on the main card. So I was surprised to see that on a Bellator prelim, because usually Bellator prelims are the butt of jokes. But again, we'll see. Next up, I believe this order definitely got shuffled on me. This is the last fight apparently on the prelims. But we have a heavyweight prelim fight. We got Davion Franklin taking on Anthony Garrett. Davion Franklin is only 2-0 and has only been doing MMA for less than 2 years, but was the recipient of the Jackson Wink MMA scholarship. So clearly the guys at Jackson Wink see something big in him. They basically pay him to fight. No, expense-free Jackson Wink scholarship, basically. I know Jackson Wink's been getting a lot of hate lately for whatever reason, because they've been on a losing streak or whatever, but they are one of the elite staple MMA gyms in the world. And Davion Franklin's training with guys like John Jones, and John Jones speaks high of him. He says that John Jones is a great friend, great training partner. So if you're training with John Jones on a daily basis, you're clearly doing something right.
Yeah, exactly.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Again, he's only 2-0, only 2 fights in MMA. One of them was over J.W. Kaiser, who is the sacrificial lamb to that fucking idiot wrestler. I don't even say his name on this podcast. I hate him so much. I will say it, just Jack Swagger. Oh my God, I can't believe I said it. Jack Swagger, dude. I hate him. Jake Hager, I guess, is what he's going with in MMA. Anyway, Bellator is on fire. Bellator 254 tomorrow. Right, tomorrow's Thursday. Uncasville, Connecticut. Mohegan Sun, 7:30 p.m. prelims. Let's fucking go, boys. I'm hyped for it. This is like people are just because of Lee McFarland's fight, it's a flyweight title fight. It kind of gets pushed under the, swept under the rug. But it's like, this is one of the best Bellator cards on paper I've seen in a while. A lot going on with it. I know I'll be watching. I know Mike will be watching. Matt's already got over $500 on one fight, so I know he'll be watching, and hopefully you are too.
Hell yeah, there's nothing better than, working and then cracking open a beer on Thursday night, put it on YouTube on your TV and watching them prelims,
Dude, come home from jiu-jitsu, plant my ass on the couch and watch some fucking Bellator. You can't beat it.
Yep. All right, let's transition to pay-per-view. UFC 254 going down Saturday. Quick turnaround for both fighters in the main event. We got Brandon Moreno taking on God of War, Deiveson Figueiredo. I am absolutely stoked for this fight. Let me just share my content real quick, and then we can get right down into the breakdown. All right. Real quick. All right, so we got Brandon Moreno. Opened up as a sizable dog, obviously. I think it was like plus 200, plus 335. And, how can you go against that? Am I correct? I mean, it's such Deiveson has been such a brute force that how can anybody stop him? And my theory is this. Deiveson Figueiredo's only loss is to Jussier Formiga. Jussier Formiga is a primarily grappler. And then you got Brandon Moreno, who's got super underrated grappling and awesome offensive wrestling. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think Brandon Moreno is super durable, more durable than any fighter that Figueiredo's ever fought. But I don't know, boys. I got to go with Figueiredo, God of War here, to retain his title. I think he wins by 49-46 or 48-47 decision. What do you guys think?
I think there's no way this fight goes to decision. I think, and I like Moreno. I think Figueiredo finishes him inside 2 rounds.
How?
Honestly, dude, I'm gonna say submission.
All right.
I've seen so many advanced transitions out of Figueiredo. His grappling is like you always say it, Mike, more than anybody. That there's levels to this shit, and it's not to knock Moreno's game at all because I like him a lot. I just think Figueiredo's that much better than everybody else in this division, and I don't see him not stopping him in this fight. Maybe it's not inside 2 rounds. That's just my prediction, but I don't see him going to decision here. And I really think that you see a difference just absolutely outclassing Moreno. I kind of think that this fight is – I don't want to say too soon for Moreno, but at the same time, man, I don't know. Do you guys think this fight would be happening this quickly if Jan and Sterling didn't get canceled?
No.
That's that. I would like to see this with Moreno getting a full 6-week camp in.
Oh, I misunderstood the question. Then no, obviously no. I thought you meant if that got canceled, they just threw this together and threw Moreno in there. No, I don't think a title fight is too soon for him, but the actual timeline is pretty fucking soon for both of them, though. They fought on the same fucking card.
Yeah, I just would like to see Moreno with a full camp in preparation for a guy that's as dominant as Figueiredo. I don't want to see him go because we were saying on the podcast before when he fought Alex Perez that we thought Moreno should have been that fight. I would have liked to see that more because he would have gotten more of a camp out of it. I personally don't know if he'll be prepped enough for this on this short of notice.
Yeah,
but props to him for taking
the amount of time to prep. So it's not, they both have the same exact amount of time to prep.
Absolutely, but I think Moreno's the one playing catch up to the guy that's murdering the whole division. Mm-hmm. I would like to see him just have more time with his coaches, more time on the mats. Whereas Figueiredo, I don't think he needs that. Granted, it would benefit him. Obviously, I don't think he needs the time that Moreno needs to prep for him. I would just give it a full go. That's it.
Yeah, so we got 12% of people thinking Moreno's going to win here, 88% going.
I could see a knockout because Moreno's a fucking dog, dude. He'll start throwing down with him, and he could just get clipped.
I totally agree with you. I hear everything you're saying, Matt, and I think that Figueiredo's going to win. But when Figueiredo murked Joe B the first time, and it was clash of heads, whatever. Okay, you got murked anyway, regardless. People were saying that the way to beat Figueiredo is going to be someone that can take a punch and take him into deep water and see if he could last. I guess that's been Figueiredo's MO, is he's not going to last going to later rounds. I don't know, what the evidence, I guess. I don't see any evidence of that in his career.
Especially because how he fights, he's so calculated. Like, he doesn't waste much energy. He's not a high output guy.
No,
He's
you're
a guy
right.
like-
Really not.
He's just a guy like you basically got to ride to figure out a wave. It looks like he's unfucking beatable, so ride the wave until he gets fucking beat. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I don't want to be that guy and be like, say, oh, I think Moreno has a chance here, and then because I really have nothing to lose because no one fucking thinks he's going to win. But I really do think he has a better chance. I think this is going to be figured out his hardest test solely on the fact of Moreno's.
I agree with that 100%.
Royval's back. You know what I mean? I think he out-grappled Royval. He was on the mat specifically as well. Like, I'm not saying, against the cage, on the mat. When the fight was on the mat, he out-grappled Royval, Royval, I guess I keep saying Royval, but handedly, pretty much. I mean, granted, injury aside, he dominated that first round of that fight and won. So
dominated.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be, I think, and the line doesn't show up, but I think this is definitely going to be one of Figueiredo's toughest. I
would like to see, it's probably out there already. I'm just being fucking lazy. I'll pull it up now. But I want to see what the total on rounds is for this fight.
I just told you earlier today, over 2.5 is.
I thought you were telling me to bet that, as a prop or something. Okay.
Yeah.
That's tough. I think that's going to be close.
I think Moreno's so freaking durable, dude.
If I had to bet it, what's the line on it? Is the over plus money?
It's plus 100.
Who do you think's going to win, Brody?
I think I would take that.
I did already. I threw some on the over 2.5 because I think it's going to change as the week progresses. So.
All right, let's move on to this next fight, guys, because I'm chomping at the bit to start talking about this one.
I know. Well, I think me and Chris are pretty much on the same side. We both lean Tony Ferguson there's really no reason not to believe he's going to win this fight. But Matt, tell us why you're going with Do Bronx.
All right, so I know I've been talking up Do Bronx, all that. Don't get me wrong. I really like
No, motherfucker. You told me there's
no. Wait. All right, let me talk.
No.
My brain obviously thinks Tony's going to win. There's not a place on earth that Do Bronx is better than Tony, in my opinion. But I've been on his hype train since he started this win streak a couple years ago. Granted, it's a kind of brutal of a win streak. He's finishing everybody, but dude, he's fighting fucking nobody or guys that were somebody and they're at the tail end of their career. So I feel like I feel like I'm loyal to him now. I'm not gonna bail on him now and be like, all right, because I've been clamoring for him to get a test. Now he's getting that test. I'm gonna be like, oh fuck him. Like, no. I'm probably going to bet on him. I wish I was getting a better line, so I'll probably try to pick by finish because, let's be real here, he's not beating Tony Ferguson by decision. The longer this fight goes, the more it favors Tony. But Oliveira is dangerous as fuck everywhere, and I think that there's a real chance that he could stop Tony inside 2 rounds. But outside of that, that's really the only chance he has before Tony makes him look like a bloody mess and Do Bronx is unfortunately on the bad end of another Tony Ferguson meme where they're picturing all the guys that Tony's fought recently and they were put through a fucking meat processor. But anyway, I'm taking Charles as a fan and as a fan, but honestly, if you're betting this fight, bet on Tony. I don't want to lead our listeners the wrong way. I'm just staying true to Do Bronx and I hope he gets it done. But if you're betting serious money on this, I would take Tony.
Yeah. I'm not putting a bet here because I think it's just like I said, I think Tony is better everywhere. And my biggest concern is the amount of damage he accumulated from the Gaethje fight on top of the fact, he's 36 years old. It could just be like that one strike that Oliveira throws. And listen, Oliveira is not a great striker by any means. If anything, I think Tony's striking is significantly better. But, we've seen Tony drop 4. He took all that damage from Gaethje. He's 36 years old. I just wouldn't be surprised if Do Bronx goes in there, clips him with something, and then gets that ground and pound finish. But Tony is a better fighter in literally every single aspect of mixed martial arts. So it doesn't make sense for me to say there's value in Oliveira because he's an underdog and he's dangerous, because I think that Tony's the better fighter. So I'm just going to pick Tony and just stay away from it and enjoy this fucking violent fight.
Yeah, I've just been talking. Me and Matt were talking that shit to each other, just joking around. Because I'm usually the middleman, and you guys are always talking shit to each other. So when me and Matt were on opposite ends of the fence, obviously we had to start talking shit. I just think so. I'm gonna get my opinion out here, and then you guys go off. I'm obviously rooting for Tony Ferguson. I got my money on Tony Ferguson. If you listen to last week's episode, check it out. We'll link it in the description. I rolled my or was that last week, the week before, my Anthony Smith winnings into Tony Ferguson. Also, one thing we didn't mention, shout out to Marvin Vittori. You got Mike. You got to give him his props after, but.
Real quick. That's funny you just said Marvin Vittori because my girlfriend just texted me, and you know what she said? She said, make sure you talk about my boy kicking ass last week.
Oh, fuck him. But real fucking, you know what's so crazy about Oliveira? Like, if you look at his record and didn't look at his age, you'd be like, oh, this guy's pushing 40. He just turned 31.
Yeah, like this, he's been fighting in the UFC since 2010's first fight against Darren Elkins armbar win.
Wait, so we're saying, obviously, like we're saying Tony's better everywhere. Do you really think, though, at pure jiu-jitsu, Tony's a better jiu-jitsu player than Charles Oliveira? No, I don't.
I think his wrestling's combined. I think his style is unmatchable, unparalleled. It's hard to prepare for. So it's like, I don't know. Oliveira's very jiu-jitsu by the book kind of guy, which is not a bad thing. He's a savage. But I don't know. I think it might cancel out.
More of like, and you think he's a better MMA grappler as opposed to traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu? I probably favor Oliveira. But from like putting it all together, your wrestling, your grappling, like putting it all together, I probably do favor Ferguson. I don't know, man. Dubronx is fucking his striking is crazy improved too.
It definitely is crazy improved.
Definitely crazy improved.
One thing I really wanted to mention, Oliveira is on an amazing win streak. Absolutely 100% props to him. His win streak consists of Clay Guida, who's well past his prime, Christos Giagos, who I don't think has fought in the UFC in years. I think he got his ass whooped by Drakkar Klose and hasn't fought since.
Right here.
Okay, there you go. Jim Miller. Okay, Jim Miller's way past his prime as well.
Way past.
David Tamer sucks. Nick Lentz
sucks.
Way past his prime. Jared Gordon, he beat the shit out of, and Jared Gordon isn't, up there yet. Jared Gordon, I am a fan of Jared Gordon. He's good, not up there. Lucas Barros, that was nothing. And then Kevin Lee came in as a big underdog, and then Kevin Lee did what Kevin Lee does and just flopped. I'm not hating on the win streak, although it appears I am. I just want to mention the fact that when Tony was on a 12-fight win streak, people were quick to sweep under the bridge. Oh, we only fought, 6 of his 12 were in the top 10. Oh, only 6 of his fucking 12. Bro, what the fuck? What more do you want? You know what
I have it in front of me right now, dude. It's like Cerrone, Pettis, Lee, Dos Anjos, Venata, Barbosa. Like,
that's what I'm saying, bro.
Gleason Tebow was no slouch. Trujillo, however you say his name, was no slouch. Like, I don't knock it at all.
That's what I'm saying. And people are quick to forget that Tony was just on a 12-fight win streak. Oh, he lost to the interim champ. You know what I mean? And people are quick to write him off. I feel like if that Justin Gaethje fight never happened and Tony Ferguson was on a 12-fight win streak coming in to fight Charles Oliveira's 7-fight win streak, he'd be minus 375.
Easy.
All I know is he better stay away from anything that he could potentially trip over. Honestly, just put him in one of those bubble boxes until Saturday. Because I need to see the fucking fight.
No COVID test, please.
No COVID test. Don't COVID test him anymore. He'll live, I promise. He's in like one of the most conditioned, if not the most conditioned athlete on the planet. If there's one person meant to beat COVID, it's Tony Ferguson. Yeah. But dude, you want to keep running down this card, dude? It's so stacked. I'm so pumped.
It's a stacked card. All right, let's just talk about, Moicano and Fiziev. Like me and Matt were kind of going back and forth, text messages, bullshitting back and forth.
Go off, boys.
I mean, like, listen, Matt, you bring up a great point because, like, Rafael Fiziev coming in as, like, I think it was, like, minus 155, but Moicano is way more established, way better ground game, underrated striking, better competition. Everything kind of falls into Moicano's favor except for, like, straight-up striking, but the line is still in Fiziev's favor. And that's what's keeping me away from the line, because I'm tempted to bet Moicano plus 120, but – you're right. There is something that Vegas knows that we don't know. Like, what do you think, man? Like, I think Moicano is a savage. Like, despite his losses,
I do. I kind of like him, and I think that his losses he's just actually losing to guys that are better than him. But those guys that are better than him are like top of the food chain fighters.
And he beat the shit out of Calvin Kattar. He landed over 100 significant strikes, and the strike differential was like 80 or something absurd like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got the whole package.
No, I really 100% agree with you, but maybe there's just something, I don't know, man. he go like not crazy for a bit, but like something with like his mental state where like people were questioning if he was like fully committed to the sport or something like that. Like
Crazy.
he was like he wasn't accepting fights for some time. I don't know, man. I like him. I think he's talented as hell. If he takes this fight to the ground, which he should, because Fiziev is legit. He's a coach at Tiger Muay Thai out in Thailand. Like, if you watch him, you'd be like, okay, this guy knows how to punch you in the face. He's a very good striker. He's technical. If Moicano keeps it standing, he's going to get cracked. I think he's going to get cracked, and I think he's going to get volume put on him. And one of the most impressive things to me about Fiziev is his defense is very, very, very good. He's hard to hit, but we haven't seen his takedown defense tested whatsoever. So I really want to lean Moicano, and I you know me, I always favor the grappler, but to me this line just makes no sense. Like I know he just beat the fucking shit out of Mark DeCasey, but Mark DeCasey, what is he if not a prospect that just never fucking made it?
That's what I'm saying. He's not a special talent in my opinion.
I'm gonna bet Moicano. I am, but this line is sketching me out. I'm just hoping I'm getting a gift here.
Me too. I agree. It's sketching me out. All right, we got Kevin Holland making that quick turnaround as always. Going up against 41 years old Ronaldo. Sorry, my brother probably just fell upstairs. I don't know if you heard that. Ronaldo Jacare Souza, 41 years old. Holland opened up as a favorite, but now I'm pretty sure it's a pick'em or maybe a slight lean on Kevin Holland. And I got to say, but when I first saw this fight, I was like, yo, Jacare on the ground against Holland? It's a wrap. But then as the kind of week went on, and I was watching the line movement, and I know Jacare is 41 years old. Sometimes these fighters, if they haven't fought in a while, a couple bad performances, sometimes they just fall off a cliff. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to lean with Holland here, but I don't know if I can place a bet on this fight.
I'm definitely betting Holland. I'm actually, after I've thought about it and watched excuse me, I feel like I'm going to burp, more fights recently, I really, really, really believe this is Holland's time. This is the boost he needs, and I think he's going to take full advantage of it, man. Like, he's at a different point in his career. It kind of goes back to what we were just saying about Dubronx and Tony Ferguson, where yes, Jacare's jiu-jitsu, just jiu-jitsu is obviously fucking better, dude. He's Brazilian as shit. Like, it's what he does. He grapples. But I think Holland he's more athletic, and I think he's going to do just enough. And me and Mike were talking about this pre-podcast to not even get taken to the ground. If he does go to the ground, I wouldn't be surprised if he hung with him. He's really, really, really good. But I've seen Jacare hurt way too many times recently, and a guy is accurate and powerful as Holland has shown to be lately. I see him kind of picking Jacare apart and finishing him, man, and finishing him early and making a big statement. This kid is hungry. If you've been following him on social media, you hear him post-fight how confident he is in his interviews. I think this is his time to make, and Chris said it too. Chris, I'll let you talk about it, but he was mentioning how all the fight coverage around this fight's been around Holland. They know who they want to win, and I'm trusting him here. I think that you're getting good money on an even line, and yeah, man, take Holland.
Yeah, embedded, like, so UFC, they make big bets, and they make bets that are lower risk, high reward, and they know when to pick and choose those spots. And this is a spot where they're doing it. Like Kevin Holland, I think he's already fought. This is either he already has, or this is his 5th fight of 2020, and they like him. They really like him. Remember, he was big mouth in the Contender Series, and Dana White hyped him up. Then he came in on short notice and fought Thiago Santos. And, it was a crazy fight. He was talking so much shit. His mouthpiece fucking came out. And on UFC Embedded, they usually do they'll usually do the title fight and then the co-main, and then maybe mention the 3rd fight on the card. They skipped right over. This isn't even the 3rd fight on the card. I think Fiziev and Moicano is. So this is 4th on the card. They didn't even mention Fiziev or Moicano. And then so it's a 45-minute show. They do 20 minutes about the champ, 15 minutes about whatever. And then the last 10 minutes were Kevin Holland and Jacare. And out of those 10 minutes, 8 of them were about Kevin Holland. The Dana White texting Kevin Holland, the whole 9. So they're betting on Holland here. The UFC wants Holland to win, and I think this is a perfect spot for him. They saw this spot, and they, for sure. He was supposed to fight Hermanson last week, so they're betting on him for sure. Also, props to manager Elise's favorite fighter. Marvin Vettori coming off that big win last week. I'll be remiss if we don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah, me and Matt were way off there. I mean, I honestly thought it was going to be dude, I think Hermansson's game plan was pretty fucking awful. I
was getting so mad watching it. I mean,
like,
I was freaking the fuck out.
Like, he went for takedowns and then gave up on them, and you could clearly see when he went for the takedowns, that was what was gassing Vettori.
Thank you.
One. Number two, he abandoned the leg kicks completely, and they were working when he threw them, and that was a great way to gauge the distance against a solid boxer in Vettori. I really think that his corner let him down. He let himself down. He's a better fighter than he showed in that fight.
I agree 100%. And I guess I'll attribute some of this to and they said it immediately after the fight that Hermansson was limping out of the cage. Because how many times I texted in the chat, like in the one time specifically, when he threw a body kick, you saw Vettori wince and grab his elbow. Like, and he even said it after the fight that those kicks were doing damage to his arm. And all of a sudden, after the second round, and I guess it makes sense because apparently he had a pretty bad break of one of his toes or his big toe or whatever. He stopped throwing kicks. I don't think he threw a single body kick rounds 3 through 5. And the second that fight went strictly a boxing match, obviously it's favoring Vettori. To me, that was one of the very few routes to victory for Vettori, because once you take all the other aspects out of that game, I think Hermansson's better. I still think he's better on the ground. When Vettori was on top of him, yes, he controlled him, but did he do any damage? Not really. And the kicks were clearly had an effect on Vettori. Then those stopped. So, props to Vettori for making it a fight that was his fight, taking it and making it what he wanted, especially in the later rounds. But I think Hermansson could have game planned better. I was impressed by Vettori, but I still wouldn't favor him against many guys inside the top 5. To me, I think that he would – I don't know. I need to see more still. I know that sounds crazy, but hey, what am I if not jumping on every hype train? This is one I'm still not jumping on.
Interesting. All right, yeah. I mean, I don't know how he's going to fare in the top 5, but, props to him. He deserved the win, 49-46. I said it right. When the fight was over, it was a clear victory for him. So, props where it's due. And it sucks because Hermansson is just perpetually one fight away from a title shot and just cannot seal the fucking deal. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is. But, we got a couple low-key matchups on this the rest of the card here that we can make a quick mention. JDS making his 50th appearance now he's a plus 300 against Cyril Gane, which is pretty fucking insane. But
what do you guys think about this fight, Mike? I mean,
I think that I said it in the last fight. I said JDS is 100 times better than Jairzinho Rozenstruik, but he's the one fighter that you cannot bet on his chin. And that's what happened in the last 3 fights. He got knocked out in his last 3 fights. And he was winning the Jairzinho fight until he got clipped.
I was all over that. Remember, I was like, JDS is going to take this one. It's going to hold up. He's going to – and I was fucking wrong.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know, man. I might – at this line here, I think I might take him. I don't like another guy that I'm just not aboard his hype train. I don't like Jan. I don't like him. There's something about his striking to me still that he's just low output, looking for that power shot. And, a lot of guys are heavyweight are like that, but – this is a big jump in competition to me. He's 2 fights removed from that. Who would he fight? Darnell Mays or whatever?
He beat Tanner Boser pretty fucking well.
Tanner Boser. I don't know, man. It's hard to bet on a guy that just got knocked out 3 times in a row, but look who's knocking him out. Rozenstruik, Curtis Blades, Ngannou. It's what they fucking do. But
I mean, plus 300 here, a little woof.
Yeah. I mean, at plus 300, I think it's worth the play. Maybe he pulls a Arvelovsky and finds a little bit of his chin and uses his veteran savvy on his way to a decision. But I know I'm shockingly not laying the wood for this fight on him. I'll probably take JDS.
I don't blame you, but I can't. I'm going to stick with my narrative. I don't go with puncher's chance unless it's somebody against Junior Dos Santos. It's fucked up, but there are a couple fighters where you literally cannot trust them because of their chin. We got Cub Swanson here making his return after over a year-long layoff. I'm pretty sure he had an injury of some sorts, going up against Daniel Pineda, man, who hasn't gone to a decision in I don't know how long. So this is bound to be a fight of the night kind of fight. I think that Daniel Pineda is going to win via takedowns, man. I was so impressed with his win over the Burns brother, Herbert, being able to take him down, control him, pass, and then get into a crucifix position and finish the fight is absurd. And we all know Cub Swanson's, vulnerable to that takedown and vulnerable to that ground game. So I got to lean with Pineda here as a slight favorite at minus 150.
It's hard to fade Daniel Pineda after he just beat the fucking brakes off of Herbert Burns in that pathetic showing, but that's another conversation.
Pathetic.
But I love Cub, man. I think he's the fucking boy. I'm taking him here. I'm pumped to see him back. And as Mike alluded to earlier, he did tear his ACL. It was actually last year, 3 days from today. It was on December 12th. Jake Shields tore hit in a jiu-jitsu match. He had his knee reaped and busted his knee open. But I'm taking Cub here. Honestly, again, a huge fan move. I'm pumped to see him back. But like Mike said, I do think this fight favors Pineda. And if Pineda is to lose this fight, I think it would be Cub pulling off one of those random slick submissions. Maybe like a guillotine off of one of Pineda's takedown attempts. We've seen Cub do that before. But yeah, man, pumped to see him back. Don't want to see him take a lot of damage here as he is, pushing. I think he is 37. Yeah, he is 37. But from a fan perspective, Swanson. From a bet perspective, Pineda.
Yeah, on this one, I'm gonna have to ride with Pineda, even though I'm a massive Cub Swanson fan too. I think Matt's got some Cub Swanson merch, so he really is.
I have a shirt that's like the Cub on it with like a knife.
Yeah. I know you're a big Cub guy. The two reasons I should say that I'm gonna fade Cub in this fight. I'm gonna root for him, but if I was a betting man, I'd bet on Pineda. Two reasons. One, Matt just mentioned it, his ACL tear. Two, Cub has come out in interviews recently and said he's aware of where he is in his career, and he'll take fights at 35, 45, or 55. And that, to me, is the sign of someone who's just there for the money. You know what I mean? Just there for the paycheck. And good for him. He's probably getting paid pretty well. He's been around forever. Good for fucking Cub. I'll be rooting for him as a fan. I'm not betting on it, so I'm saying I'll root for Cub, so I couldn't care less. But go Cub. I just think that Pineda's going to take this one.
Same.
Yeah. And up next, we got Mackenzie Dern, a beautiful woman going up against the opposite side of the spectrum, Virna Jandiroba. Listen, hey, they're both savages on the ground. This is Matt. Actually, want to talk to you about this. This line movement kind of freaks me out too, because everything I see on Twitter and on the betting sites is like people are really think that Virna is going to take this, but the line continues to move in Mackenzie Dern's favor. Like she went from minus 177, now she's like minus 188, and I think it's going to keep steaming in that direction. So I'm inclined to believe, based on line movement alone, that I think Mackenzie Dern is the right side of this fight. But I don't know. I think it's going to be a relatively close fight. Could be a split decision. What do you guys think?
I think this is a matchup where if I had to, well, I'm obviously going to bet it, but I think this is the first person that since, what's her name?
Ribas?
No, since Virna fought, what the fuck's her name? Carla Esparza, that could match her in the grappling department, and that is why I favor I was going to say something fucked up, but I'm not going to say it. That's why I favor Dern here.
Say it.
Aside from her being drastically hotter, I just think that she'll be able to match her on the ground. I think actually this is going to be one of those fights where, like when you say, I don't think it actually stays standing. I actually think that this is going to go against that narrative where the clash of styles keeps them standing. And I think this whole fight is actually going to take place on the ground where I favor Dern, man. Virna to me is just like the last two opponents she faced, like was Felice Herring was basically didn't fight for 2 years. And then before that was Mallory Martin, I believe. Yeah. Mallory Martin. And it's just like, those are gifts. And I do think Dern's actually pretty fucking good. Aside from that, how big of a favorite was Dern when she fought Ribas?
I don't know.
Very big favorite. So
that was in hindsight, that was the biggest mistake ever.
Easily, 100%. But definitely a hype train behind her, and I'm buying into it again. So yeah, Dern.
Matt, I'm going to play devil's advocate to what you just said. Look who Mackenzie Dern has beat. You want to talk about gifts?
True. I mean, yeah, she fought Mike's mom.
Hannah Cyphers. She lost to Amanda Cooper. Okay. Ashley Yoder, Kayleen Medeiros. And those were and that's when she was in Invicta. She just had, because of her dad, because of who she is, because she's fucking hot. I think that's what's moving the line, Mike. Like if I said to anyone in our group chat, do you know who Mackenzie Dern is? A couple of them would make jokes about her having big fat titties or something like that. And know who she is, you couldn't pay Mark or any of those boys $1 million fucking dollars to know who Durandrova is, So I just think that it's casual money taking that. So I think that Durandrova, if you're gonna bet, I don't know what the line is right now, but I would never lay 2-1 odds of Mackenzie Dern in this fight ever.
Fair enough. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. I didn't think about that.
And I don't mean this in this sounds horrible, but I think that Mackenzie Dern is the worst 9-1 fighter in the UFC.
Hey, fair point, bro. She's had her moments where he's like, like.
And how many times she missed weight, coming multiple pounds over, and then just use that to her grappling advantage. You know what I mean?
Fair point, fair point.
Yeah, I do want to see them at weigh-ins before I bet this. I'm kind of hoping she misses weight because then I'll really bet her.
All right, featured bout, guys. I mean, this one is going to be sick. I mean, we got Billy Q making his, fourth fight in 2020, going against kind of the opposite in terms of showing up in the octagon, Gavin Tucker, who fights very sparingly. But when he does show up, bro, he looks, in my opinion, like a top 15, top 20 guy.
He's good everywhere.
He's so good everywhere, man. His striking, his last fight against Justin James, he put on a clinic of striking match. I mean, so did Gabriel Benitez, but let's just say Justin James isn't very good. He got a kind of a lucky win against Frank Camacho. I lean Billy Q here, but something's telling me that he's not going to finish 2020 undefeated. I'm just going to roll the dice here on Gavin Tucker as an underdog here. I think he's severely underrated, not well known. I think all the hype is behind Billy Q, which is why the line is what it is. I think it should be a pick'em. The physical advantage definitely with Billy Q and height and reach, but in terms of grappling, I think it'd be a stalemate. And on the feet, Billy Q gets hit a lot. He gets hit a lot in every single one of his fights. I'll go with Tucker in this fight.
I'm going Billy Q here. I think that Gavin Tucker is just catching him at the wrong time. And while I do think somebody's going to derail the Billy Q train, I don't think it's going to be Gavin Tucker. Like you just mentioned, he had his first fight against Justin James since I think like early 2019. He's not that active, and he has a loss to Rick Glenn, which is very glaring to me.
Yeah, but if you watch the Rick Glenn fight and then watch the following fight, he made such a
No, I'm kidding. I just like to make fun of Rick Glenn because he like fucks his sister and shit. But I uber impressed with Billy Q, and I just think this is going to be an easy fight for him. I think that sounds crazy because I do think Gavin Tucker's really good, but I think Billy Q uses his height and reach advantage and uses in his distance and puts on a fucking showcase. And I think if he wants to stay active, I think first quarter of 2021, you're going to see him get a serious bump in competition. I'm pumped to see what comes from him, but he's got to get through Saturday night first, and I think he does.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think this is going to be the banger of the week. Like, I think this is the most underrated but best call. Like, this is Fighting Night potential written all over it. Am I wrong?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm definitely leaning Billy in this one for sure based on his activity. Like I know Matt touched on it, that Gavin Tucker doesn't fight very frequently. When he does, he's all entertaining. So I think this is banger written all fucking over it, boys.
Hell yeah.
What do you guys think about, just to keep it moving here, we don't have to talk about Sergey Spivak. Fuck him.
Look at his picture, by the way. Look at his fucking picture.
Yeah, it's brutal. It's brutal.
Like, that's not real.
So, but what do you guys think about Chase Hooper making his return tonight? Tonight. I wish it was tonight, but Saturday night.
I think he's minus 400 because Peter Barrett is awful.
I think he's getting that clean toss-up.
But I will say this. He cannot – and we saw in his last fight because obviously he lost his last fight. I really expect and hope to see some kind of improvement out of his striking game in this fight because as you saw against Alex Caceres, there's a big difference from literally Daniel Tamer to everybody else on the roster, and that includes Alex Caceres. Most people know how to defend a takedown to a degree where if you can't strike like Chase Hooper legitimately cannot, he's not getting the takedowns he wants. So it's going to be interesting to see, because I would kind of sprinkle Peter Barrett here solely because how one-dimensional Chase Hooper is, man. If he's not getting the fight to the ground, and don't forget, he's still a fucking kid. He's like, Peter Barrett's an older man. Chase Hooper's 31 years old and still growing to his body. Peter Barrett's going to be a lot stronger. He's a grown man. It's just grown man strength at that point. And to me, you saw a little bit of that against Caceres. Things that looked like in other fights were coming really easy to Hooper weren't coming easy anymore. And I don't think that's going to happen in this fight unless he's made changes to his game and he's advanced in places and he's not as one-dimensional. So until I see that happen, I cannot lay fucking minus 400 on that. I just can't. It's not a jiu-jitsu match. It's an MMA fight.
Yeah, those are all fair points.
I wouldn't fucking lay the wood on him ever in a trillion years, but what I'm saying is he definitely deserves to be the favorite. He's definitely fucking better than Peter Barrett, so.
Yeah,
definitely. But I think there is a play to be made on Barrett, maybe even by finish, man. I don't know. I would love to see Hooper with these odds having seen some improvement, because we all saw that Caceres fight and it's pretty fucking ugly. Wasn't even close.
All right, boys, that wraps up UFC 254.
Boys, one thing we did not touch on, two things, and I want to ask you a question about something. We would be remiss if we did not mention that Floyd Mayweather, the best boxer of all time,
Stop!
is fighting Logan Paul in an exhibition match. I'm going to do something with the thumbnail based on what I sent you. I want to add Elise into it too, so I got to figure out how I'm going to do that. But anyway, I mean, I don't even really want to give this highlights. I made our header says boxing is _? Boxing is dead has been, the moniker it's gotten as of lately. I love boxing. You guys know I'm a big boxing fucking fan. Do you guys think that even though this is absurd, do you think it helps boxing because people are clearly going to watch this nonsense? Like, I'm going to stream it. I'm obviously not paying fucking $60 to watch this. Or does it help? Does it help boxing because people are clearly going to watch this? Or does it hurt boxing because people think it's like a fucking WWE and this is like couldn't get any worse?
I think that it helps boxing, unfortunately, because they're reaching into a market that doesn't understand what boxing once was. So to them, they're seeing, oh my God, Floyd Mayweather's fighting Logan Paul. And like you just said, like, you're going to stream it. Unfortunately, we're not even moving. We're in a generation where the demographic this fight is aimed at also are not paying for this pay-per-view. They're going to fucking stream it. Everybody our age and younger is what this fight is geared towards, and they're going to be streaming it. Nobody's paying for this fight. Nobody's having a party at their house on a Saturday night like people probably did from APAC way back when. Being a fan of boxing, I fucking hate it. I think it's a disgrace that a guy that's 6'2", that walks around over 200 pounds, is fighting a guy that fought his heaviest at 154, he's 5'8". Like, I don't like it at all. I mean, I get it from a money grab perspective, but if you ask me what is boxing, or what was the question? Boxing is blank.
Yeah.
My answer would be boxing is desperate.
Yeah, I agree. I hear you, dude. I don't think – but see, my thing is and I don't mean this against you, Matt, in any way. The weight to me doesn't matter. It's like Floyd Mayweather could outbox any – it's nonsensical to me. Like, I don't know. I have no words, honestly. Like, it's just so absurd to think about. Like, Logan Paul just got beat up by KSI, who is a fellow YouTuber, right? And lost. And it was the sloppiest fight. Like, people were hating on it, like saying, like, he's like making, obviously the hype train he is. Oh, I'm going to, do it again. I'm a professional boxer. Dude, he couldn't beat like 17-year-old kids in Newark at the local boxing gym. How, you know what I mean? How is he going to beat Floyd Mayweather? And the fact that we're talking about this is obviously just feeding into exactly what they want. But to me, it's just past the level of absurdity. So boxing is absurd.
I agree, man. And it's crazy, too, because you know what's going to happen? It's going to be the same thing you saw happen in the Tyson fight. And it's funny because I'm sure you have, Chris, but if you saw Tommy Toehold today, you heard him talk about how, for once, he actually did like a segment where he gave his like honest opinions on a fight. There was no gimmicks or whatever. He was like, you literally saw Mike Tyson about to take Roy Jones's head off and then pull back and throw body punches. And that's what I think is going to happen in this fight. They're going to have it like Mayweather is going to make it his rule set. And I almost wish, It's not going to happen, but I wish Mayweather would just put Logan Paul's fight had lights out, like so bad, just so people can understand that this
It's not a
shouldn't be
game.
happening. Like, imagine this was put on in the heyday of boxing. Like, like, it's just come such a long way, and I hate to see it, man. But I get it because I think MMA has truly taken over, and as a fan of MMA, I fucking love that. But I hate that boxing got lost in the shuffle, and this is what it's come to.
One thing that I want to touch on, people are saying, oh, well, why is everyone hating on Floyd Mayweather for like doing this, making money, blah, blah, blah. Muhammad Ali did a bunch of exhibitions as well. It's like, yeah, but he did exhibitions with professional wrestlers, and the whole gimmick was this is like, they're going to hype this up like a boxing match. Muhammad Ali did it as this is an exhibition, he's wrestling the dude, they're on the ground, like, you know what I mean? Like making fun of it, and it's a show. It's not a contest. You know what I mean? Like this is fucking hit the level of absurdity. Like I just can't wrap my head around it, man.
So wait, Chris, do you think it's good for the sport of boxing overall? If you had a scale, right? And you're like, this happens, and then boxing goes, this is good for boxing, this is bad for boxing. Where do you sit?
It's definitely good. Views are good. So it's definitely good on that aspect. But the thing that just the reason I say absurd is Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury did like 800,000 or 900,000 buys, and this is probably going to do more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That to me is fucked. That's why boxing is dead. That's what's absurd about boxing. Like the heavyweight champions unifying belts in a rematch of one of the fights of the year. But the heavyweight division, every sport ever, is always like, the number one baddest man on the planet title. And you guys can't break 1 million, but then a YouTuber fighting a retired boxer is going to break, records. It's just but again, it doesn't hurt. It definitely doesn't fucking hurt. So.
Right.
Is what it is, dude. It's the world we live in.
Yeah.
But you know what? Props to them for making that fucking money, man, because I would take fucking $5,000 to get punched in the face by Floyd Mayweather at this point.
Right.
I take
So,
$20.
Yeah. You can't hate on them for making money. It just, things transition. And unfortunately, if boxing wants to stay relevant, and because less people care about Earl Spence fighting Danny Garcia, which is crazy, but it's
that's what I'm saying, bro. That probably did a couple 100,000 viewers, and it's like, one of the best fights of the year. And
oh yeah, man. Or especially the narrative, like Earl Spence returning from the car accident and everything, dude. Like the guy's alive. He should be dead as hell, and he's not. Like, no,
you're right. You're right.
Serious, but it sucks, man. But fuck it. What are you gonna do?
It is what it is.
I love what Dana White said, dude. That was so funny.
He's like, didn't he just get beat up by that fucking YouTube? What did he say? Didn't he just get beat up by that?
Isn't that the guy that just got beat up by another YouTuber?
He goes, isn't that the guy that got beat up by the fucking video game kid?
I love how
I don't want to keep ranting about it. MMA Gossip, episode number 43. Elise Reed. She's awesome. Check her out. December 18th. Follow her on all her socials. Again, special thank you to Kale Brusso. Check him out. I think his Instagram is just at Kale Brusso. Hunting, fishing, the whole nine. Loves MMA just like we do. He's her manager now. So, one of the boys doing big things. Hopefully Elise does her thing, defends that belt. UFC fucking 256, Bellator 254. A lot going on this week.
Absolutely. And as always, enjoy the fights, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Later, guys.